Just World Radio, powered by SID Media. From broadcast to baptism.
Awesome stuff. There we go. And here we are, right here. I believe that we can hear each other representing the Hope Revolution. And Tate Ezra Namdo, did I say your surname right? Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. God has been good. So happy to be here this morning just to sit and chat with you and the audience for a little bit. But I'm excited. Let's see what God allows. Amen.
Amen. I'm very excited as well. I've been wanting to have this conversation since forever. So for me, this is like a real treat. A real treat. And I know you've got a beautiful story as well. And I want us to,
Yeah.
really talk about your stories as well. There's a lot that's been happening in South Africa. Um, we've got a lot of contemporary issues that are taking place, and I remember when I prepared initially for this conversation, there had been a lot of news stories that were taking place. There was a lot of opinion pieces, a lot of analysis about illegal immigration, which is a huge issue, right? There were numbers that were
Yeah.
thrown and arguments were being formulated. Still are, because now that's an issue that was, like, I think, at the beginning stages at the time and has just really mushroomed since. And some of the numbers that were included were the very minute percentage of people who apparently, I mean, now this is like really, really something that is debatable, about the taxes and versus the number of people who are unemployed, which is a real thing, and get social grants. So it's disheartening, to say the least, and it is in this kind of economic climate that a young person seeking power, maybe even influence and money, may be sucked into what may appear to be the easy life, easy way out. Who wants to be poor? No one wants to be poor. No one wants to suffer. And if there is no employment, well, I'm gonna take what I want from the other person, and it's pretty much what redistribution of resources. Yeah, that's the mindset we're dealing with here, I think. And this practice was conceptualized then as gangsterism. We want to know about your story, because I know you also have a story as you define gangsterism. How did you also get sucked into that life?
Oh, well, what a beautiful question. Thank you. My story goes so deep. I don't even know where to start, but I think life has its own way of getting to you. The devil, if he wants you and he's after you and you are not strong at that moment, he will definitely get his way with you. And this is a lesson that I've had to learn through so many trials and things that I've had to go through. But having sucked in with gangsterism, I initially wasn't aware that I'm being pulled in. I didn't see the enemy coming.
Oh, wow.
I was at parties and I was always doing things with guys, not knowing that the gangs are busy molding me and busy making me ready to be initiated. And I wasn't quite aware of it. But by that time already, I was too deep in. I knew too much and I had to make a decision. Um, because in Cape Town, once you're into deep, if they don't get you, they go for the family, and you were faced with this
Okay.
scenario where it's it's me or the family, and I chose the latter, and I decided, look, I'm in it already. I might as well go all the way um, for this thing. And at some point, I started believing. I believed in this thing called the number. I believed in this thing called gangsterism. By the end of the day, I was trapped. I was caught up in the number game. I was initiated um, to do certain things that I failed to mention here.
Mm,
But um, when I opened my eyes, when I realized just how far I am, it was already too deep in for me already.
yeah.
Um, and I was actually on my way to get um, initiated, and part of this was I had to do something, such a terrible thing. Um, but that's also another story. Luckily, I was still able to slip away from that as well. and you won't believe me. Oh, maybe can I tell the story? Can I tell the
Yes,
story?
yes, please.
I was handed a gun. I was handed a gun, and normally on every Sunday, the gangs with the one guy, they would sit around in a circle, and everybody, all the ranks would be there, and they look through the week, and they see at all the things that went wrong. So on a Sunday, they would make things right. They call it where you right the wrongs.
Mm,
And on the Sunday, I was supposed to do something the evening, so that I can start officially as a member in the game. Um, but then I wasn't staying at home. I was away from home for many years already. Um, and then after such a long time, I haven't seen my mother. I don't know for how long, but my mother is a praying woman. My mother is a woman on her knees. And among those gangsters, that's particular day where I was supposed to get initiated. Um, my mother came with a bowl of donuts. I don't know where she, and I'm looking at this woman and she's walking through these gangs and uh, my mother is sometimes, I don't know, she's got a different faith,
mm,
and she walked through the gangs, she walked through the gangsters and the guns, and they started hiding things, they started hiding the drugs and everything. And I said, Mom, what are you doing here? This is not the place for you. And she started giving us all of these gangs. She started giving them donuts, but such a simple thing that prevented me from doing something on that day. That's a particular moment for me to go and do this thing. A praying mother came with a bowl of donuts to me, and I haven't seen her for so long. Um, but she prevented something very damaging to myself that day. And in fact, the leader told me, the gang leader said, you know what? Let's not do anything today, man. There's something that is clashing with him. He can't break through. He can't think straight. And it seems like this what we're about to do is not the right thing now. And through her intervention and the Holy Spirit, I believe that day she prevented something that would have been life changing to me and
yeah.
everybody that was involved. Anyway, I just wanted to share that story. Over to you.
Oh wow. My first question would be, when you found that you had now been roped into the situation, is it that your friends were older than you? Because I'm assuming you guys were not the
Yeah,
same age. And
yeah.
is that what your
None of
life
the
about, how easily you can get into gangsterism, looking at the peer group that you hang out with?
yeah. Well, I like to see things differently, and there was people that was I think two of the guys that was about my age, but all the others they were either coming from prison or they were um I don't know what's the English term for it, but they were on the ban. They were on the going places, getting drugs from here, taking it there, and doing all these things. So you see, I saw all the bling, and I saw all the glamour, and I saw the money, and I saw all these things, that looked appealing to me. Um, but then I also saw the price that it came with. How to get there, it comes with such a big price. And so I used to sit with all these older men. I used to smoke with all the older men. In fact, they showed me a different way of smoking mandrax, not the normal way that the younger ones would smoke it. So they would smoke it with a paraffin cloth and a green pipe and a white pipe, and so that is how they taught me how the older guys would smoke. The madalas, and how they would smoke, and we would sit together, and they would tell me stories, tell me things, and I could learn from there. Everything that I've learned was for the wrong reasons, but you have to decipher things to sort of find your way in all of that. So yeah, I don't know, man. God has just been faithful to me all through my life, all through
Oh,
my life.
let's talk
Yeah.
about God's faithfulness to you. Allow us into your life and how then spiritually the Holy Spirit is able to walk you out of gangsterism? What is that process like?
Well, I can tell you, God, for me, I could see warnings. I could see where incidences where I know for a fact I'm supposed to be dead. I should
Mm,
have died. I should have died. Yeah, like my job in the gang was to I had to issue the guns. I had to make sure that all the drugs and the money. I had to make sure that everything balances out. If there's too little of this, I have to go take a woman or two and then give them there, and I take bring pills from there, and it's always balancing. And then I had to channel guns at my parents' house, which nobody would suspect. Not even my parents knew that this is what I was doing. I jumped over the fence at the back, and the back was another granny flat, and behind that was a place where I could channel some of the guns. And then just one incident that I can maybe tell you is that when I had to go and fetch some of those guns, this was around three in the morning. I made my way. My mother's and my father's room were upstairs, but there's a back way that I can just walk through to the road. So I come from a different road so that nobody see me enter, but then I leave from the front so that nobody can see me coming back the same way I came in. And that was my routine, just to cover myself. And then that one morning, I had the bag of guns and I had the old laptop bags, the leather ones. It was full of mixed bullets. It's a lot of mixed bullets. And now I had to walk, but as I walked past the house, I could hear the spray. It's my father and my mother praying, and again, I don't stay with him, but I knew my way around the house without them knowing. Um, and for some reason, I could not move that morning.
mm,
It was already starting to get light. The sun was out. I could hear the birds. I could hear kids going to school. I can hear all these things, but I can't move. I'm standing there, and all I hear is, Lord, wherever He is, behind His world to yours. And I heard all these things, parents praying for me, and I could not move from there. Eventually, so if I can say, I woke up, if I can put it that way. I woke up and then the place that I was supposed to take the guns to is the place that got hit that morning. And they were looking for me for something that happened. Um, but when I thought about it, if I had to be there in that particular moment around 4 in the morning, I had to die that morning. That was my date to die, but they couldn't find me. They shot two of the other guys that was with me. One died, the other one survived, but they came specifically for me when I went there. But for some reason that morning, I could not move. I could not find my way back to the gang and where I'm supposed to take. Because was not I didn't not where I was smuggling from. It was another place that I had to take the guns to. But to that place, there was a setup there, and the enemy wanted to kill me that morning. But because of prayer and because of parents interceding for the kids, that morning I could not move. I was
yeah,
standing there cold, but couldn't move. But like I said, things like that would tell me, look, what other force or power is there that is protecting you? Because there's too many things that points out that you had to die on so many occasions. I've lost so many people, friends. We sit together, we smoke. Now you see him die here next to you. It became so normal.
mm,
And I was always thinking, when is it my time? When is it my time? You're waiting, you're expecting it already. When is it my time? But for some reason, God always kept His hand on me. Amen.
sure.
So those are things that really it allows you to see God. If God wants you to see Him, He will make sure that you see Him. I could feel His presence always, even whilst I was smoking and even whilst we were doing all these things, all these crimes. I would always feel this is wrong that I'm doing. Everybody, when you want to do something that criminal activities, you get your stick. you will do, whether you you do pop ecstasies, or you get to get the adrenaline, or you smoke something just to go over into that mode of I'm gonna do this. Even in that, not even the drugs could done us as me. But I could always say, God, that conviction, this is not right. This is not, there's always that voice telling me, turn around, don't do this, turn around. Even in that, I was the only one. And I would tell the guys, hey, are we doing this? This is not, it doesn't seem right, man. It doesn't, but then I would turn around, and then I heard something bad happen. So I've got moments when you talk spirituality, I've got moments through my journey where I could really see, but if it had not been for that voice, if it had not been for God in that particular moment, I would not and shouldn't have been here today. So those are the key factors for me that allowed me to say, Lord, here am I, take full control over my life.
Yeah,
Thank
wow.
you.
We are speaking to Mr. Ezra Namdo about gangsterism in South Africa, and he was part of a gang, and this is his story. But also, he is now involved with helping young people out of that hellhole. And if you would
Yeah.
love to also contribute to the conversation, we've got a WhatsApp number, which is +27734703520, and that's where you can send through your contribution. So before we get into the Hope Revolution in particular, um, two questions, one question and maybe a comment as well. The comment being that the importance of parents praying for their kids, like, cannot go unsaid enough, because I think that a lot of
Mm.
time it is other people's prayers that keep us going. We just don't know what's happening. We don't see the
Yeah.
spiritual warfare. um but when someone prays for you, it's very important. And if you are a parent, if you're a guardian, pray for your children, like pray for those people, because I mean, I'm sure God is 100% listening to those prayers. If children are up to no good, they don't have time to be busy praying in that moment. But also, it's very interesting that your parents were people who were prayerful. So you grew up in a family that prays and worships God,
Yes.
and yet you derailed.
Yes.
Circumstances or choices.
Choices. Again, choices. And if I say choices, one of the things, my father started this organization, the program way in 1997 or 98, called Teen Challenge. Um, and a member of four kids, siblings with four, being used to, now I'm the eldest, and then not always getting the necessary attention because now we're four and now we're starting this program. And then it's all the attention that's going through. And I didn't understand it at that moment. At time, I didn't understand it. I got so jealous and I got so, I felt sidelined, if I can put it that way. Um, because now it's a program and all the tension has to go there, and I couldn't understand, but why are we opening our doors to strangers, and why are we doing all these things for people that we don't know? I have to give up my room, and all these things. Um, so I sort of um, decided, let me try something else for myself, and in that split moment, the circumstances of life around me started getting so appealing, because now I feel there's people that wants me, there's people that wants me in there, involved with them, there's people that wants me around them. When I speak, they would listen. Um, but that was all make believe. It was all just designed for my failure. When I know what I know today, um, those were all things that set up for my failure. Um, Not knowing the bigger picture, just putting myself ahead. But as a kid, as a young boy, I'm sure it's normal for a boy to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of who do I identify with, and then also a boy that was used to structure. Everything just went, you know, for me in that moment. But even as a younger boy, as a younger child, I was very naughty. I was a very naughty boy. Even if I knew my household was, we have house altars, we have every Sunday in church, all these things. Um, but still, there was that other side of me that I wanted to go into. I didn't give myself completely to the Lord. I was still playing around. I was still messing around. I wasn't being real. And for some reason, I opened myself to other elements around me, and that took me. That just completely took me. I
Yeah.
went into it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for opening up to us and sharing your background story. How I got you, and I think it was on Facebook, and I saw you working with in I think it's the Cape Flats, and I saw these young people who looked scary in my eyes when they joined your team. And in the end, they were washed up and was talking about God and um, what what does the Hope Revolution do? And also your jurisdiction. How far do you work?
Yeah. I I'm gonna say this with so much grace. I'm gonna say this with so much humility. My jurisdiction is where God is still here.
Mm,
Um, so for example, I went to DCS. I was invited to speak to Paul Small. Good. I said we are Hope Revolution,
mm,
and if our motto, our slogan says, if somebody can't find hope, then hope must find them. So if somebody even is behind bars, am I saying the hope that we present is restricted to bars? Then I challenge them. I said, look, even if you have to sentence me and my team. Let us spend some time behind the bars for somebody to find us out because we understand the systems. We understand how systems work in Cape Flats. And we need to go to the core of where everything is happening and we need to go there. Let us then take this hope behind bars. So if we're talking our jurisdiction now, God, I understand all of us, as you've seen some of the guys, in fact, most of the guys that work with me, we've had hardcore, we have hardcore backgrounds. We are not intimidated by because we know at the end of the day, behind all those tattoos, behind all those red and behind all those black and darkness, there's a soul. Doesn't matter how that person appears, there's a soul. So we look at the soul of that person. These other things, the outside elements, how they come across and it's all nature, it's all, it's how they've been exposed to and they were forced to toughen up in Cape Flats. You don't have some guys, they don't have a choice. They just have to have this tough but if you really dig deep and if you really have interest for people without any limitation, you would soon find that wow, behind all those tattoos, behind all those hatred is such a beautiful heart, a caring heart. And we look at the humanity of that person and the soul of that person, giving them an opportunity. And so that's why the whole revolution is we believe that if we come into a place or area, that place should be revolutionized. There should be a change. God should be in that place. We are not the answer. We are simply but mere tools or vessels that God works with it, and we allow God to use us however He wants to, whenever He wants to. But I always tell the people, hope revolution is not the if you look behind us, there's another element. His name is Jesus Christ. Is God, and that is who you want in your life. So we
yeah.
are just like a sign on the road that says go straight, stop. We are just a sign, and but the road that's all the Holy Spirit is Jesus Christ is God. That is all that's happening.
So you are able to get into a place and because I don't know, in my mind, I feel like even for you to leave like gangsterism, I'm wondering were you not judged severely? Number one, because now you left. Not only did you leave, now you're trying to get people out, and there's new whatever kings in town now, and everyone wants to show who the real boss is. And that's I'm like, also, what is your strategy? You go, are you preaching like, hi guys, I would like to share the word with you? Is it just like community programs that you have for young people? You like, we've got a career expo, we'd like you guys to come through. Like, yeah, if you can just touch on those elements, because
No.
yeah.
Yeah, no. Outreach and evangelism is our heartbeat. It's our heartbeat. It's what drives us. Um, you can never do too little or too much. You have to be consistent in what you're doing. Gangs and communities see, but you're here today and then 2 3 weeks, nothing. Then you gone, and then all of a sudden, you after 2 months, now you want to come, and so that is not. You can preach and preach every until you change colors, but if there's no consistency, if the community doesn't feel that you are with us in the trying times, they will not allow you to execute the way you'd want to. That is why, like particularly in our community where our office is, we can go into any street and say, look, we heard there's a child here. We're coming to fetch this boy here. Why is this boy here? We go and we also make sure that we get that boy or that girl into a structured environment where they can change their life. But those things, even if we go to the gang bosses around here, it comes with consistency. The crime rate has dropped extensively by us because of interventions that we are doing. Because we believe that through the consistency that we've been engaging in and in fact the consistency doesn't have to just be preaching. It's just sometimes we just take a walk through the community. We just take a walk, we show everybody, we check in, how are you doing? Do you need anything? We just take a walk about and then, but of course, every time we have to leave a word, you have to leave a word with somebody. And then we have the outreaches that we do, we allow people to come. We take this year again, we took 25 people into all, and last year, we have a community-based program as well. And we just took 25 people throughout South Africa, wherever we have centers. We just took them randomly, and all of those people are standing still today. So, but that's 25 in one center. But that 25 is going to influence another 25. And so we capitalize. So what I do is now we get those people back with their 25. And those same people that comes from a place like Nova Park or East River, wherever they come from, we go back into that community. The same people that was written off in that community becomes now the lifeline in that community because now people look and they say, but aren't you that guy that nobody wanted around? Aren't you the guy that people feared the most? Now the young boys would look, but if you can change, then surely I can change as well. Sometimes when you say a lot of things, it goes in by the one ear, it goes at the. But if they see the evidence, if there's evidence that they can see, well, then that changes the narrative. That changes the whole situation.
Yeah, wow, that is really powerful. And that's what testimony is about. And I love the fact you have to meet people's needs. It shouldn't be like you just trying to get them to be on your side, you're gaining numbers on your side, but you don't really actually care for them and for their
Yeah.
needs and interests. Um, have you ever, I mean, how long have you been doing this work?
Sorry, say that again.
How long have you been doing this work?
This work I've been doing for the past 12 years myself, but it's been from Teen Challenge to Hope Revolution since 1998. So we've been around right now. We are in 33, 34 countries in Africa. And
Wow.
September of this year, we'll be going international, started our new hub in
Wow.
Philadelphia. And then in South Africa, we have about 6 hubs. Um, everywhere. Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, Pretoria, Cape Town, everywhere we have hubs, centers that make sure that we like, remember what I said. If somebody can't find hope, then hope
Mm,
must find them. And sometimes if somebody is in Limpopo, if they're in Zimbabwe and they can't, and there's nothing there, then we need to make sure that there's something at least that's within walking distance where you can find that hope. The same service that they get here is the same service that they'll get over there. And then also allowing us to have where we can take students from here, send them there, and then take guys from there, bring them over here. So some people, not all of them, but some people do need a change in environment where they can just slow down, and that is my aim in this life. I really want to try in this life just for things to slow down. The pace that our life and everything that is happening in Cape Town, the pace is just too fast. It's quick. Kids are growing. It's just too much, too quick. The goal was just to slow down. Let's just get some perspective here again. And that is what we're trying to do here.
wow,
So 12
wow.
years.
12 years. You've never had cases of like relapses?
Yes, relapse is quite common. The
Mm.
relapse is, but we also have relapse programs. We make sure that our follow-ups are on point. Some guys relapse. Some guys don't want to come back. That's the truth. Some guys are more embarrassed of what they've done. But we always make sure to pick them up and to make sure that everybody, nobody's perfect. So everybody has to, we make sure that you get that second chance and that
Mm.
third chance, until you get it right. You're
Yeah.
not, some people might not make it right the first time. But the second time, I relapsed at one point in my life, and so I know for a fact that coming when you're addict, that's one thing you've gone through it, you've changed your life. But in relapse is one of the most
Mm.
humiliating things that you can go through, because now you've gone through it, you've changed, but now you've relapsed. Now to pick the pieces up, everything falters in. Relapse is one of the hardest things to go through.
Mm.
So I know for a fact. So I could, and some of our staff as well, we can tell somebody, look, I've been there. You don't have to worry. You got this.
Yeah, I love that. I love your ideology. It sounds to me when you mention the different hubs that you have, both in the country but also in African countries, and then now you're going international. Where's gangsterism worst? Where's
What
gang?
gangsterism?
Where is it like really bad?
Gangsterism is bad overall. Gangsterism is not good at all. You know, and the one thing that we've discovered, as you know, once gangsterism are mostly run now by our kids are being used. Let's be real. Yeah, kids are being used for a stigma or a thing that says I am a 26, I am a 27. You need to. They are doctrinated to make to believe that this thing called the number is the thing that will, because there's nothing else
Are the
for
numbers
them.
even other African countries and stuff? Is the number system South African or is it like
South
international?
African, the number system are South African. But
Um,
international, there's different gangs. There's all sorts of different gangs, but not necessarily the number gang.
so who's using the kids? Is it people like is it drug cartels? Is it I don't know human traffickers? It's like all these crazy syndicates, money launderers. I don't know.
Anything that has to be moved, whether it's trafficking, whether it's drugs, or whether it's territory, anything that has to be moved or expanded has to be moved with manpower. It has to be moved with dominance and intimidate to intimidate others. It has to be moved with sometimes gangs would start a war um, for the sake of the territory that they want or they want to But for that, you need manpower, and because it's not a lot, everybody is either in prison or they died, so they have to recruit, and they start recruiting at such a young age,
How
because we our studies. In fact, me personally, I've at one point I had to sit with a 9-year-old boy. I said, "Sir, look, I'm a hitman. I have to be a hitman. I can't say too much. I have to be a hitman because we don't have anything to eat. So the gangs gave me a gun. I have to shoot, and so they feed me. They feed my family, and so it's for me personally at the age of 9, and I'm sure by even younger, um, the boys are being recruited and molded. Also, for one reason, they can't go to prison. They can kill. They can't go to prison this yet, but they'll be juveniles. But they will go for evaluations. So those are all things that the
yes,
gangs look at. You
yes,
know, those are all things. Gangs are smart. They're
yeah,
smart people, right? They're smart.
that they are.
And you can't approach it with the old way of everything is evolving, and
Mm,
you need to be on point of what, just interesting. We've just had recently, last year, not recently, where a boy came and he was put on drugs.
mm,
I think he was 11 years old or 10 years old. So in Easterabo and some of the other places, all these poor, stricken families, these kids smoke drugs because when you smoke drugs, you don't have to eat for 3 or 4 days. And people don't understand that. So they would rather spend a 20 rand on tip. Um, then they know I won't have to worry about getting food, something to eat for the next 3 to 4 days. Now, but for that to happen, they need to go and do things to sustain that now. So buying a bread for them, well, they know it will last them about for the next half an hour because they're a family of how many. But to smoke for a packet, a 20 rand packet, you don't have to eat for the next 2 to 3, maybe even 4 days. And those are things that we tend to overlook. And also because we're not aware of it. But now
yeah.
everything, whether it's substance abuse or crime, those two work hand in hand. They work together, and the gang knows this. They have the opportunity, they have the means, to expand their territory, to make their gangs bigger. So I'm going to put your boy on drugs, the family on drugs, um, and also now and then give a parcel or whatever. So they know these things, which is why we have to do countermeasures. We have to do things to tell the boy, look, we want you to be a child, man. Our kids don't have now. They have to duck and dive. 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, they have to go to school. They have to duck and dive through bullets, and it's just too much. It's too quick. We have to slow down. We have to
Yeah.
make sure that these kids can still be kids.
For,
Otherwise we won't have a future.
for real. In Africa, which
Yeah.
country do you think is the worst with regards to gangs?
Um, I don't know how to if I can say all these things. Just in the light of diplomacy. So I need to be also mindful of a lot of things. But I think in Africa things changes. There is gangs, but there's also more, what they would call the rebels. More the rebels. That's another ball game. That is something completely same effects, different approaches, but it's quite extreme. It's quite extreme. They look at countries and not just cities. They want to take over countries. Um, whole cities and things like that. So it's more rebels. For me personally, there's no law, so that it's a lawless approach. Whatever they want to do, would take a 7-year-old, put the AK-47 in his hand, and do what you have to for the sake of the tribe or the rebels. Yeah.
Scary stuff. Scary stuff. I've learned a lot this morning. I did not know about gangsterism like this, but I know there are people who are listening, and of course, you're worried as a parent. You're worried, and you're like, yo,
Yeah.
maybe my child is being bullied or might one day get bullied and try, someone is trying to rope them into this lifestyle. Firstly, what signs should parents look out for? And then how can they intervene so that hopefully before it's too late, the child can get help?
Yeah. We've seen that once the child starts going into, you know for a fact your child is outspoken. Your child is always conscious of what he's wearing or how he's presenting himself. But then you find that this child starts getting more quieter and quieter. You see that his eating patterns are not the same. It's also important for the parents to engage with. This is why we have training with lecturers and teachers for, we call it signs, knowing when a child is on drugs, 7 signs. So we give this extensive training tool. We give these tools to teachers as well, so that the networking between the parent and sometimes it's also the fact where a child has to go through domestic violence, being exposed to mothers and fathers forever fighting, forever drinking at scars, and then you see the child come to school and they have to put up a smile coming from home, domestic violence, child abuse. These are all facts, and then they have to go through ducking and diving in the chaos of gangsters. And now the child has to sit in a classroom, having gone through so much trauma, and then you see that child is going to a space, and we teach teachers how to see these things, and then bring in the parents, bring in the social work if needed, or bring in the school counselor. And if they want to go externally, like we do with one of, or in fact, 3 of our centers, where the school would send the student to us so that we can work with that boy. And then you find, but hey, this boy's going through so much. It's those are there's things that our kids deal with that is not meant for that boy to deal with. They're too young. Psychologically, it's not for them to deal. They're not supposed to look after a house and make sure that the father is, the father cuts out, or is in a is smoked himself into a coma or something, and then the child has to take care of those. Those are things that the child doesn't don't. They're supposed to be kids, and we need to change those type of things. Where 9-year-olds and 12-year-olds have to run households. I have to make sure that I have to hide my father's gun, because father cuts out. They smoke themselves and they leave the guns and they leave this. And it's so much negligence. And then there's the fights between the parents. Kids are exposed to so many things. I'm going to say this one more time. They are not supposed to be dealing with those kind of stresses. They're not supposed to be dealing with those kind of traumas. They are to be kids. We need to make sure that they know what it is to play in parks. They know what it is to play with. Now, when you see parks put up in the kid wherever, it's just there, but there's no kids. You just see
Mm.
it there, spray painted, and it's a territory where it's a spot where gangs can smoke, and there's nothing. You don't see that. You don't hear the noise of the kids playing in the streets anymore. They're scared, you know. So yeah,
Oh my goodness. I There's a lot of conversations we are going to have in the future because you are a wealth of an encyclopedia, and we need your voice. We absolutely Your South Africa needs your voice. I know this country definitely, schools need your voice, parents need
yeah,
you, young people need to hear from you, and other young people who have been saved, they need to hear those
yeah,
testimonies and realize that life is not the option. It appears like an option, but it ends in tears. And I think your
yeah,
message, it's very important, and it's timeless, even though this has been happening for many, many, many years. I
mm,
don't know if it's getting better, but it's probably, I mean, we see corruption, we see politicians, so I don't know. Yeah, so please do take note. We are going to definitely rope you in more and more, because
amen.
it's important. And we wish you well. I think what you're doing at the
Thank you.
is extremely impactful, and continue the work that you do. Don't give up. And we will be praying for
Thank
you
you.
also, for your safety
Amen.
and the temptations that come with the job, not just for you, your team, but even
Yeah.
for the young people that you deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Ezra. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend further.
Just blessings from my side. Blessings from my side. All the best to you. Big shout out to my leader, Dr. Nomdo. I'm also under leadership. I don't move without leadership. That's my that's my authority, Dr. Nomdu, Pastor Arica, and everybody. I just want to end off by saying anybody that's going through something today, just remember that even in weakness, weakness doesn't mean it's the absence of strength. You know, in fact, Philippians says that it's in our weakness that God's strength is made perfect. So don't
Amen.
worry, don't give up. There is still hope for you. Amen.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
The Hope Revolution is that you guys are called the Hope Revolution on all um, social media platforms.
Yeah, yeah. The Hope Revolution vision. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And there we go. That's where you can find them, the Hope Revolution, on all social media platforms. If you need help, my time is up. Thank you so much for choosing us as your station of choice. It was lovely to be with you this morning. Have a beautiful Sabbath. Have a beautiful Women's Day. And until tomorrow, we meet again at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Adventist